Moved her back on the pillow, and when I was removing my hand, she had hit her head. 2-3 minutes later, that's when she said, "Pow!"
I have forgiven you, Lionel, for brutally murdering my daughter.
While adults are the cynosures of crimes and evil activities, it's time to confront the unsettling truth that darkness can manifest in the hearts of juveniles.
And he left his finger right by my mouth, and I bit him.
It's a proven fact he's a very violent individual.
In this video, we will uncover the shocking stories of the most evil teens in the world and unravel the horrifying deeds that earned them their sickening title.
I didn't intentionally pull the trigger. My finger was on the trigger.
Brace yourself for a journey into the depths of teenage malevolence, where the boundaries of morality are shattered and the depths of depravity are exposed. Number 20, Danish Muhammad. This story takes cruelty to another level. How could a child mastermind the death of his beloved mother? It seems unbelievable. Let's unravel the truth hidden beneath the surface. Here is a former Texas high school student who has admitted to hiring a classmate to murder his own mother because he believed she was too strict. Danish Muhammad, who was just 17 years old at the time, offered Nur Muhammad, 18, a staggering $4,000 to carry out the heinous act. The chilling details emerged as Muhammad, who had already confessed to the killing, revealed in court how Muhammad had driven him to the family home in November 2009. There, they brutally stabbed Tabassum Khan, Muhammad's mother, who was later found lifeless in her apartment. It took just 2 weeks for the authorities to apprehend Muhammad as a suspect in his mother's murder. The breakthrough in the investigation came when detectives found a bloody handprint on a doorknob, linking it to Muhammad. He was subsequently arrested a few weeks later at school on drug charges. During his court testimony, Muhammad revealed that Muhammad had taken him to the family's apartment and signaled that his mother was present. After the murder, Muhammad claimed that Muhammad had driven him back home, stating that Muhammad had just smiled when asked if he showed any remorse for his victim, according to ABC 13. The loss of Tabassum Khan, a mother who fell victim to her own son's plot, leaves a haunting void in the lives of those affected by this senseless act of violence. Number 19, Denver, Colorado, Jarvis, and Jesus Mendes. In a shocking and horrifying incident that shook the community of Deerfield Beach, Florida, 2 teenagers found themselves at the center of a trial that would reveal the chilling details of a vicious attack. Denver, Colorado, Jarvis, and Jesus Mendes, both former classmates of the victim, were charged with dousing their classmate, Michael Brewer, in rubbing alcohol and setting him on fire. Now, in a dramatic turn of events, they are set to testify against a third teen, Matthew Aaron Bent, who is accused of being the mastermind behind the attack. The attack, which occurred in October 2009, stemmed from a dispute over money between Bent and Brewer, who was just 15 years old at the time. Bent allegedly claimed that Brewer owed him $40 for a video game, setting in motion a series of events that would forever change their lives. The trial not only seeks to determine Bent's guilt or innocence, but also serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences that can arise from senseless acts of violence among young individuals. Number 18, Curtis and Katherine Jones. What happened to Curtis Jones, convicted of first-degree murder at the age of 12? Suspense hangs in the air as he emerges as a free man at 29. In a surprising turn of events, Curtis Jones was recently released from a Florida prison. He had spent a significant portion of his life behind bars, never having had the opportunity to learn basic skills, such as driving a car or using social media, as reported by CNN affiliate WFTV. Back in 1999, when he was just 12 years old, Jones, along with his sister Katherine Jones, 13 years old, was found guilty of the murder of their father's girlfriend, Sonia Spites, in Cocoa Beach. Their lawyer argued that the siblings resorted to extreme measures due to alleged sexual abuse by a relative and feeling unprotected by their father and his girlfriend. However, prosecutors maintained that their actions were driven by jealousy, as they believed they were not receiving sufficient attention from their father. The 2 siblings, who resided in Brevard County at the time of the crime, entered into a plea deal, resulting in an 18-year prison sentence. During his time in prison, Curtis Jones became an ordained minister, while Katherine developed a relationship with a pen pal, leading to marriage. Their lives took unexpected turns, and now, with their impending release, a new chapter awaits them outside the prison walls. Number 17. Tyler Hadley. It's painful how people forcefully deprive themselves of the joy of parenting. What lofty do they have for posterity? Tyler Hadley, at the age of 17, committed a horrific act. He brutally slayed his parents and then proceeded to throw a party, inviting friends through Facebook, all while the lifeless bodies lay in a bedroom with a deadly hammer placed between them. The date was July 16, 2011, when Tyler Hadley took the lives of his parents, Mary Jo, 47 years, and Blake, 54. The gruesome scene unfolded in their family home on Northeast Grandeur Avenue in Port St. Lucie, Florida. He used a 17-inch framing hammer with a wooden handle. Tyler's mother, Mary Jo, was sitting at a computer when her son viciously attacked her. What adds to the horrifying nature of the crime is that Tyler Hadley, after committing the murders, posted multiple invitations on Facebook for a party at his house. During the trial, medical examiners testified that Mary Jo was alive and suffered with each blow inflicted upon her. Blake's injuries were consistent with someone desperately fighting for survival. The severity of the wounds revealed the crushing force with which Tyler wielded the hammer. The broken mirror and discarded belongings symbolized his disturbed state of mind. The case of Tyler Hadley's murder of his parents remains a scary reminder of the depths of darkness that can exist within individuals. Number 16. Ari Morales and Marcel's Peter. This next story unveils an alarming narrative that will leave you on the edge of your seat. The incident in question happened in October 2009, when a group of males, ranging in age from 15 years, gathered outside the Richmond High School homecoming dance for a night of drinking. Little did they know that this would become the setting for a nightmarish ordeal that would scar the victim and shock the community. It all started when they lured a 15-year-old female student to join their gathering, enticing her with alcohol. As the night progressed, their intentions darkened, and they shamelessly propositioned her for sexual harassment. When she bravely refused their advances, their actions took a sinister turn. With a heartless disregard for her well-being, they forcefully pinned her down on a cold concrete bench, subjecting her to a relentless onslaught of violence and sexual assault that lasted for a horrifying 2 hours. Among the accused were 16-year-old Ari Morales and 17-year-old James Peter, both facing charges that demanded a reckoning for their actions. The judge, in a rare display of firmness and condemnation, deemed the brutality and callousness of their acts so extreme that he ordered them to be tried as adults. As a result, Morales was sentenced to 33 years in prison, while Peter faced the prospect of spending 29 years to life behind bars. Number 15. Aaron Campbell. The summer night of July 2018 had a head-on collision with the tragic darkness in the streets of Airdrie as a sinister predator plotted his heinous act. Campbell, a mere 16 years old at the time, set his sights on his unsuspecting victim, Alysa, who was staying with her grandparents for the summer holidays. With a heart full of darkness and malice, Campbell abducted Alysa from the safety of her grandparents' house. As the days turned into nights, the horrific truth began to unfold. Alicia's life was tragically cut short by the hands of her captor, who subjected her to unspeakable acts of violence, sexual harassment, and death. The young girl's lifeless body was left abandoned in the cold embrace of the woods. Suspicion fell upon Campbell when his mother, reviewing CCTV footage of their home, stumbled upon a haunting revelation. The wheels of justice began to turn, and Campbell faced the consequences of his heinous actions. Initially sentenced to 27 years behind bars, he later appealed the sentence and got a reduction to 24 years. Earlier this year, he was hospitalized following an alleged attack by the inmates, a stark reminder that the consequences of his actions continue to reverberate. This story serves as a reminder to cherish and protect the innocent, to stand against evil, and to strive for a world where such atrocities are but a distant memory. Number 14. Lionel Tate. How did a 14-year-old boy become the youngest American citizen ever sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole? In a shocking and tragic tale that shook the nation, Lionel Alexander Tate found himself at the center of a horrifying crime that would forever alter the course of his life. The suspense begins with a captivating question. It was 1998, and Tate, then only 12 years old, was left alone with 6-year-old Tiffany Unick, who was being babysat by Tate's mother. The defense claimed that Tate, weighing a staggering 166 pounds at the time, had been playfully demonstrating professional wrestling moves he had seen on television to the much smaller Unick, who weighed only 46 pounds. However, the injuries sustained by the young girl told a different story. Unick's injuries were far from accidental, as she suffered a lacerated liver, fractured skull, fractured rib, and a swollen brain. In a chilling turn of events, Tate's defense argued that what had initially seemed like a tragic accident was the result of a horrifying game gone wrong. The prosecution likened the severity of her injuries to those one might sustain from falling off a 3-story building. Despite his young age, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Judge Joel T. Lazarus of Broward County Circuit Court delivered a scathing condemnation of Tate's actions, describing them as cold, callous, and indescribably cruel. Number 13. Joshua Phillips. What dark secrets lay hidden within the walls of an ordinary home in Jacksonville, Florida? 14-year-old Philip was playing with a baseball bat within the confines of his own home. Unfortunately, out of the blue, Philip struck Maddie in the eye, causing it to bleed. Fear gripped him as he imagined his father's wrath upon discovering the injury inflicted on Maddie. Driven by panic and desperation, Phillips made a shocking decision to strangle Maddie with a phone cord and mercilessly stabbed her 11 times, extinguishing her young life in an act of unimaginable brutality. To conceal his heinous crime, Phillips hid Maddie's lifeless body within the pedestal of his waterbed, a secret tomb where it would remain hidden from the world. Days turned into a week, and it was only when Phillips's own mother stumbled upon the horrifying truth that the darkness within their home was finally exposed. With no prior history of violence, Phillips found himself thrust into the harsh reality of the justice system. Charged as an adult with murder, he faced a trial that would determine his fate. The weight of his actions bore down upon him as he was found guilty of first-degree murder, sealing his destiny within the confines of a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Number 12. Craig Price. Slasher of Warwick, as fondly called in the Buttonwoods neighborhood of Rhode Island, was a juvenile pain hunter. But what story took him behind bars for 16 years? The story begins with a shocking act, as 13-year-old Craig committed his first murder in 1987. His victim, Rebecca Spencer, a 27-year-old mother of 2, fell victim to Craig's savage rage, enduring a brutal assault of 58 stab wounds. The sheer brutality of the crime sent shockwaves through the community, leaving them fearful and bewildered. But the horrors did not end there. 2 years later, in 1989, Craig unleashed another wave of terror, targeting his neighbor, Joan Heaton, and her 2 young daughters. Armed with kitchen knives, he orchestrated a gruesome scene, leaving 63 stab wounds in his wake. The echoes of his chilling nonchalance as he described the night of terror in the Heaton home still send shivers down the spines of those who heard it. He coldly recounted biting Heaton's face as he mercilessly knifed her and even mimicked the last sounds of the dying girls, a chilling display of his lack of remorse. The justice system swiftly intervened, and Craig Price was sentenced to a total of 29 years behind bars. Number 11. Alysa Bustamante. Here is a gruesome story of an evil teenage girl whose history was marred by depression, self-harm, and desperate attempts at suicide. She carried a burden that seemed too heavy for her young shoulders to bear. How did this tragedy unfold? It was on a fateful day in 2009 that Alysa lured her 9-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Olton, into the depths of the woods. She strangled Elizabeth, extinguishing the light of a young life far too soon. And as if that act weren't horrific enough, she proceeded to slit the young girl's neck and wrists, forever silencing her. Alysa was charged with first-degree murder and tried as an adult, a testament to the gravity of her actions. The weight of her crime bore down upon her as she received a life sentence with the possibility of parole, a sentence designed to ensure that she would never escape the consequences of her monstrous act. Alysa Bustamante stands haunted, revealing the darkness that can consume a troubled soul and the devastating ripple effects that follow in its wake. As Elizabeth Olten's memory lives on, we are reminded of the need for compassion, understanding, and the unwavering commitment to protect the innocence that resides within every child. Number 10. Morgan Leopard. While relationships are best for folks of matured minds, a 15-year-old girl is not excusable for lodging a crime with her claimed lover. Driven by what she believed to be love, Morgan's pursuit of a life with her older boyfriend turned sinister. On a sunny day in 2008, Morgan Leopard and her boyfriend, Toby Lowry, approached the home of an elderly man named James Stewart. Stewart, a 66-year-old born without hands, opened the door to find these two teenagers standing before him. Little did he know that within 22 minutes, they would be responsible for his untimely demise. Morgan and Toby had a plan: to steal Stewart's truck and escape their current lives. They assaulted the elderly man, beating him with metal rods. Despite the brutality, Stewart managed to cling to life. Toby then ordered Morgan to stab him multiple times until he was finally suffocated with a plastic bag. Satisfied that their victim was dead, the couple embraced, believing they could now be together forever. 3 days later, they were apprehended in Texas. They faced charges of first-degree murder in the death of James Stewart. Their capture came after a motorist recognized them from a national news report and alerted the authorities. The Putnam County Sheriff's Office revealed that Morgan Leopard and Toby Lowry were suspected of killing the disabled man. They were captured in El Paso and subsequently taken into custody. May the memory of James Stewart endure a reminder of the heartbreaking consequences that can arise when innocence is twisted by malevolence. Number 9. Nathaniel Brazil. If you've ever experienced the anticipation and excitement of the last day of school, you'll understand just how significant it is for students. However, for 13-year-old Nathaniel, this day took a turn for the worse. What made this revelation even more horrifying was the fact that Nathaniel kept his word. Once at school, Nathaniel sought out Denora and her friend, who happened to be in a lesson with Mr. Grunow. Undeterred, Nathaniel walked into Grunow's class and requested to see the two girls. Security cameras captured Mr. Grunow speaking with Nathaniel outside the classroom. Surprisingly, it was Mr. Grunow's laughter that provoked Nathaniel. Enraged by the sound, Nathaniel allegedly pulled out the gun. Suddenly, there was a loud gunshot, and Mr. Grunow fell lifeless in front of his students. In a state of shock, the students ran out of the classroom, shouting that Nathaniel had shot Mr. Grunow. Nathaniel, dazed by the events of the past few minutes, followed his primal instincts and fled the scene. In his attempt to escape, he stumbled into a police officer driving a taxi and confessed to the officer. Nathaniel was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder, bringing the legal system into action. However, the jury found Nathaniel guilty of first-degree murder. Due to his age at the time of the crime, he was sentenced to a juvenile detention facility where he would receive counseling and rehabilitation services. The court emphasized the importance of providing him with the necessary support to address his underlying issues and ensure future safety. The tragedy acted as a catalyst for change, prompting a renewed commitment to prioritizing mental well-being and creating safer school environments. Number 8. William Baskett. When a child inherits cruelty from their father, it's as if a wicked flame is passed down through generations, igniting a malevolence that thrives in the shadows of their soul. In the dark and gritty streets of Harlem, New York, a chilling figure emerged. His name was Willie Baskett, a product of a twisted lineage. Born to a father stained with the blood of two lives, Baskett was destined for a life of chaos and violence. At the tender age of 15, Baskett unleashed his wrath upon the unsuspecting world. With a gun in his hand and malice in his heart, he committed his first heinous act, taking the lives of two men in separate acts of robbery. But his thirst for blood was insatiable. Another innocent soul, a transport worker, fell victim to his cruel intentions before the long arm of the law could reach him. Trials and courtrooms became the stage for Baskett's twisted journey. Though still a minor, the weight of his crimes demanded justice. Yet the scales of justice seemed to falter in the face of his atrocities. A mere 5 years in a youth facility was deemed sufficient punishment for the blood on his hands, a sentence that sent shockwaves of outrage through the community. But the outcry against Bosket's lenient sentence echoed far and wide. It reverberated with such intensity that it birthed a monstrous legislation, the Juvenile Offender Act of 1978. This draconian law decreed that children as young as 13 could be dragged into the harsh embrace of adult courts, facing penalties as severe as those reserved for hardened criminals. Number 7. The Blanch Su Student. In the small, quiet town of Blanch Su, an unsuspecting school day took a dangerous turn. It all began with an innocent lunch period when laughter and conversation should have filled the air. As the clock struck noon on that fateful Monday, a 14-year-old boy donned a mischievous grin, concealing the wicked intentions that brewed within his mind. In a shocking act of betrayal, he offered his unsuspecting classmate a seemingly harmless plastic soft drink bottle. Little did anyone know the contents of that bottle were far from ordinary. Unknown to the victim, danger lurked within the deceptive confines of that innocent-looking container. With trepidation, the 13-year-old boy accepted the offering, unaware of the horrors that awaited him. The victim's throat and stomach ignited with searing pain, a torment that ravaged his body. Panic took hold as he gagged and stumbled away, desperately seeking refuge from the agony that consumed him. His anguished cries pierced the air, a chilling chorus of suffering that shook the very foundations of the schoolyard. The police were summoned, their presence embodying both a glimmer of hope and a stark reminder of the gravity of the situation. Upon interrogation, the boy claimed that it was prank. It is a twisted game of deception played without consideration for the consequences. Number 6. Brenda Spencer. Not all Monday mornings bloom in excitement for the new week. Sometimes it is greeted by unspeakable heaviness that lingers in the air. You may ask why. Brenda Spencer, a seemingly unremarkable 16-year-old girl living across from Grover Cleveland Elementary School, shocked the world by opening fire with a .22 rifle. With a chilling lack of motive, she claimed, "I don't like Mondays." This senseless act marked the first high-profile school shooting, leaving a principal and custodian dead, 8 children, and an officer wounded. Brenda's subsequent legal battles, fueled by drug allegations and conspiracy theories, added a layer of enigma to her already haunting story. Brenda found herself facing California courts as an adult. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and assault with a deadly weapon, a chilling testament to the severity of her actions. The sentence handed down was 25 years to life, a grim reminder of the lives lost and shattered by her hand. Why did she commit such a heinous act? Was it truly a mere disdain for Mondays, or did deeper demons torment her young soul? Only Brenda holds the key to unlocking the truths hidden within her troubled mind. Let's take a grip on the world of justice as we present our subscribers' pick. Behold the captivating image of a courtroom where a teenage boy sits, his face marked by a blend of fear, defiance, and an undeniable weight of consequence. Bound by chains that speak volumes of his actions, he awaits his sentencing. In this extraordinary snapshot, the complexities of human nature and the consequences of one's choices converge. Witness the raw emotions that swirl in the air as the boy's fate hangs in the balance. What led him to this worst moment of life? What atrocities lie in his past? And how will the scales of justice strip him? The complexities of this story and more lie in this video. Which of these chilling stories strikes you the most? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Number 5. Mason Cisk. An Alabama teenager, Mason Cisk, was convicted of killing 5 family members, including 3 younger siblings, when he was 14 years old. Consequently, he was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. The sentencing was handed down by Circuit Judge Chadwick Wise, who described the crime as ghastly, disturbing, and draped in unmitigated evil, justifying the harshest punishment allowed by law. The jury reached a guilty verdict in April, finding Cisk guilty of multiple counts of capital murder for the shootings of his father, adoptive mother, and 3 siblings. The tragic incident occurred in Elkmont in the year 19. where all 5 family members were shot in the head at their home. Initially, Mason Cisk claimed to police that he was playing video games in the basement when he heard gunshots and saw a vehicle leaving the scene. However, he later confessed to investigators that he was responsible for the killings. The U.S. Supreme Court has stated that life sentences for individuals under the age of 18 at the time of the crime are inappropriate, except in exceptional cases, taking into account the diminished culpability and potential for change in young offenders. This tragic incident has left a lasting impact on the community, and the sentencing ensures that Mason Cisk will spend the remainder of his life in prison for the heinous crime he committed. Number 4. Alysa Weir and Morgan Geyser. Meet Peyton Leutner, a brave Wisconsin girl who has overcome unimaginable trauma. It all started innocently enough with a slumber party among friends, but little did she know the dark turn her life was about to take. Peyton's friends, Morgan Geyser and Alysa Weir, lured her into the woods. They brutally stabbed her 19 times, all in the name of impressing a fictional horror character known as Slender Man. This shocking incident captured the nation's attention and exposed the dangerous influence of internet boogeymen. In the aftermath of the attack, justice was sought through the legal system. Morgan Geyser pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree murder and was sentenced to 40 years in a mental institution, while Alysa Weir pleaded guilty to attempted second-degree homicide due to mental illness and received a 25-year sentence in a mental health facility. However, the impact of this horrific event continues to haunt the 17-year-old Peyton. In an exclusive interview with ABC's 2020, Peyton bravely shares her story, revealing the physical and emotional scars that persist. She candidly admitted that trust has become a challenge for her, making it difficult to form new friendships. Even with existing friends, she keeps them at a distance, a protective measure born out of her traumatic experience. Her mother, Stacy Leutner, highlights the struggle Peyton faces in trusting even her own family members. The story of Peyton's ordeal serves as a reminder of the profound impact that such a traumatic event flamed by unhealthy companions can have on a person's life. Number 3. Arlington School Teen. This next terrifying story sent shivers and terribly shook the community. A 15-year-old shooter who opened fire at Lamar High School in Arlington, Texas, has been sentenced to 40 years in prison for capital murder and attempted capital murder. The teen, whose identity has been withheld due to their minor status, admitted to being the shooter and left the decision of their sentence in the hands of the jury. Before the school day began on that fateful March morning, the teen unleashed chaos by firing a shotgun into a group of students eagerly waiting for the doors to open. Tragically, Jashawn Poirier, a 16-year-old student, lost his life, while another 16-year-old girl suffered injuries from shrapnel piercing her face. Prosecutors had initially sought to try the teen as an adult, but the judge ultimately decided to keep the case within the juvenile system, denying the certification request, despite the defense attorney's plea for leniency, claiming that the teen had essentially raised themselves. But the jury handed down the maximum sentence. The sentencing provides a measure of closure, but the scars left by this tragic event will undoubtedly endure. Number 2. Sheilia Eddy and Rachel Shof. How did two seemingly pretty and sociable 16-year-olds from Morgantown, West Virginia, transform from best friends into killers? The tale of Skylar Neese, Sheilia Eddy, and Rachel Shof unfolded in the small town of Morgantown, West Virginia. At the tender age of 16, these seemingly ordinary teenagers were bound together by their shared experiences, taking selfies and enjoying each other's company. It was on that fateful day, July 6, 2012, when the Neese family was struck by a horrifying realization. Skylar was missing. As the days turned into months, the truth behind Skylar's disappearance slowly emerged, casting a dark shadow on the friendship that once thrived. In a shocking revelation, Rachel Shof confessed to authorities that she and Sheilia Eddy had brutally stabbed their best friend to death. Skylar Neese was no ordinary teenager. She was a shining star, excelling academically with a perfect 4.0 grade point average, working part-time at a fast food restaurant, and enjoying an active social life. The truth behind the events that shattered the lives of Skylar Neese, Sheilia Eddy, and Rachel Shof was far creepier than anyone could have imagined. From best friends to killers, the lines between loyalty and betrayal, trust and darkness, became irreversibly blurred. As the investigation delved deeper into the heart of this chilling tale, the full extent of the horror would finally come to light, revealing a devastating betrayal that would forever scar the lives of those involved. Number 1. Aiden Fui. On Mother's Day, May 9, 2001, the body of 13-year-old Tristan Bailey was discovered, brutally stabbed and slashed. Aiden Fui, then 14, was charged with first-degree murder. In February 2023, he changed his plea to guilty. Judge R. Lee Smith sentenced Fui to life in prison, calling the crime heinous, atrocious, and cruel. Tristan Bailey, a student and cheerleader, lived in Durban Crossing, Florida. Aiden Fui, her fellow student and neighbor, had a fascination with discussing killing people. On the night of her death, Fui convinced Tristan to meet him. Surveillance footage showed them walking together, and later Fui returned alone, carrying his shoes. Tragically, Tristan suffered 114 stab and cutting wounds, with 49 being defensive wounds. This chilling crime serves as a reminder of the darkness that can lurk within humanity. This horrifying incident stands as a stark reminder of the depths of darkness that can reside within the human soul. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.